All right, guys, we're going to get started here soon. Dotting the I's and crossing the T's. J-Dubs, you confirm LinkedIn and YouTube for me? I'll confirm we're live on my personal Facebook, Judah. Like and share the show, viewers and listeners. Like and share the show. Take a look at the screen. Are all headlines in now, J-Dubs? If you're watching on Twitter, please retweet the show. Ginny Who, thank you. We appreciate you, Ginny Who. Love your comments and your insight, Ginny Who. Sincerely, sincerely mean that, Ginny Who. If there's anything you guys ever want to talk about on the show, send it our way and I'll relay it live on air. We want to crowdsource content. We do not need to originate the content. We want to crowdsource the content and have a conversation with you, the viewers and listeners. Had a very good Jerry and Jerry show this morning for you Virginia football fans. The Jerry and Jerry show is very good. You can find that anywhere you get your social media or podcasting content. Judah, I'm going to ask you which headline most intrigued you and why when the show starts, as I always do. Are we live on LinkedIn and YouTube? Yeah. Fantastic. We're live on the group. We're live on my personal Facebook. We are live on Twitter, Fountain app, iTunes, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Rumble, LinkedIn, 15 Facebook pages, 15 Twitter accounts, YouTube. I'm excited for the show. Which headline most intrigues you today, Judah?
I'm interested in what you've got what you're thinking about with the food court.
You know the food court that's the Cosner brothers own, the Cosner family owns on the base of Freebridge, right next to Freebridge, the base of Pantops Mountain?
Oh,
where like Tacos Gomez is and Angelique sets up there from time to time.
Food truck park.
Food truck park, yeah. How did we write the headline?
Should it be food trucks?
Yeah. What does that say in there?
Locations for a food court in CVille
Food
area.
truck court in CVille area. Food truck court is what the headline should be. I could see the Phil Delaney property on Ivy Road, the Virginia Oil, being a food truck court. If I was the folks behind the Phil Delaney property on Ivy Road, I would be trying to develop a food truck court there. Tacos Gomez is now set up there. Anderson's is set up there.
Where is this?
On Ivy Road. You know where Anderson's Seafood Market is.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Let's talk about that on the show. Like and share the show, viewers and listeners. We're going to rock and roll in a matter of moments on today's program. I'm excited to connect with you guys today. I'm ready to rock and roll when you are, Judah.
All right. Quiet on the set.
Good Tuesday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. We appreciate your viewership and listenership of our fine and fair talk show. A lot we're going to cover on the broadcast. There's some scuttlebutt circulating around middle management and upper management at the University of Virginia that Jim Ryan is hanging around the University of Virginia with an eye on potentially reinstatement if an Abigail Spanberger wins what appears to be a very one-sided governor's race, a race that will be determined in early November. Currently, Spanberger is out fundraising her opponent, Winsome Earl Sears, pretty damn close to 3-1. I think the last number we looked at on the show last week was $27 million for Spanberger. I believe it was $11 million for Winsome Earl Sears.
I think so.
It was utter domination and fundraising. I want to talk about that today. It's a hypothetical. It's a great storyline for a talk show. Is Jim Ryan hanging around Charlottesville and the University of Virginia with an eye on reinstatement should Abigail Spanberger win the governor's mansion. We'll talk about that today on the program. One thing we do know is, Judah, he's compensated extremely well. He's on a 14-month sabbatical.
Yep. Or at least that's how much time he's got saved up.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. He's got 14 months of paid leave at his disposal right now, Jim Ryan. He accrued 2 months of paid leave for every year that he was on the job. He gets 75% of his presidential compensation to be a professor at the UVA Law School, the School of Law. So he's going to be earning $750,000 a year in annual base pay. He's got 14 months of sabbatical time. And during that sabbatical time, if memory serves correct, is he paid his full wage?
Let me double check that.
Clarify that. Cavalier Daily, I believe, had that reporting. I want to talk the storyline. Is there a chance that Jim Ryan is reinstated as president of the University of Virginia? This has happened in the past with Teresa Sullivan. Faculty at the University of Virginia, upon Terry Sullivan's first firing in the Helen Dragas coup, they basically said, if you don't reinstate Terry Sullivan, we are going to all quit our positions at faculty at the University of Virginia. So there is a precedent for this. The precedent, however, is not this gap in time between resignation of Ryan and potentially getting back in the president's and Cars Hill in the president's office as president of UVA. That may happen, if it does happen, if the scuttlebutt is accurate, in Q1 of next year. We'll talk about that on today's show. I want to talk Amazon and Louisa. Goodness gracious, times are changing, and Louisa County residents aren't so crazy about those data centers anymore. I got, again, significant feedback after yesterday's show. Last week, we highlighted the Daily Progress article. Hall Spencer wrote the article. There was a gentleman, his last name of Matthews. He's got a firm that's an architectural and planning firm in the Charlottesville area. And this Matthews fella, whose name is on the marquee of his firm, is one of the co-founders or the co-owners of this firm. He highlighted that the zoning debacle is costing his firm alone about $400 million. He's got about $400 million in projects. $400 million in projects, I should say. It's not costing his firm $400 million, but $400 million in projects roughly that are in purgatory because of this zoning debacle. And I asked the question on Friday: is if one firm has $400 million in projects roughly in purgatory because of this zoning debacle, is the zoning quicksand impacting Charlottesville development to the tune of $1 billion plus? I mentioned that $1 billion number on Friday's show. Neil Williamson said it's easily $1 billion plus. And then I said yesterday, goodness gracious, as much feedback as anything I've ever talked about on the show over the weekend, this past weekend, from extremely influential, wealthy, heavy-hitting people that said that $1 billion number that you're talking about is extremely light. And they said on Monday's show, you should talk about that it's not just a Charlottesville City impact, that it's the surrounding counties that are also going to be impacted by this stalled zoning code or this quicksand zoning code. And these heavy hitters, people that are smarter than me, people that have been doing development for generations, people that have ownership stakes in some of the most significant ownership stakes in all of Central Virginia, have indicated that the economic development or the economic impact of the stalled zoning is well over $1 billion, and we cannot just tie it to Charlottesville City, that it's the surrounding counties as well. I talked yesterday about this, and then I had significant feedback yesterday evening. And the feedback that I had yesterday evening, one topic kind of tickled my fancy, and they said, compare and contrast the zoning debacle to what happened during COVID and the pandemic. And that's a great talking point for a show like ours. Do I think this zoning debacle is having the same negative economic impact as COVID did in Charlottesville, Albemarle, and Central Virginia? No. Are there some similarities? Perhaps. We'll talk about that today. I also want to highlight that the Princeton Review has ranked the Darden School at UVA #1 on multiple lists. I find that fascinating because we know cheating is rampant at the Darden School. And here the Princeton Review is touting the Darden School as #1 on multiple lists, including #1 for the best professors and the #1 for best MBA management program. This content on UVA Today, news.virginia.edu. Of course, the professors are going to be ranked #1 from a student's perspective. They can cheat and get degrees. I kid because I care. I kid because I care. But we do know it's extremely rampant, cheating at the Darden School. We'll talk CAT services, Charlottesville Area Transit. Restoring Sunday service would cost $8 million. Absolute absurdity to restore Sunday service. Now, I'm able to say that as a 2-car family, someone that has a vehicle. So we will look at this through a lens of empathy, listening to learn. But $8 million for Sunday service when the buses I see driving around town seem extremely empty to me, seems like misappropriation of taxpayer dollars. That's just my 2 cents. We'll talk Antonio Clary. I talked about this on the Jerry and Jerry show this morning. The senior, I guess he's not even a senior, goodness gracious. He's starting his 7th year of college football, and we're a month away from kickoff against Coastal Carolina. Training camp starts tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, UVA football training camp starts tomorrow. And how about these for a couple of conversation starters for your cocktail party? Chandler Morris, the starting quarterback for UVA, he will turn 25 years old during the 2025 college football bowl season. I'll say that again. The starting quarterback for UVA, who's being paid $1,200,000 for 1 year of football. Okay, he's on his 4th school in 6 years. Chandler Morris, 4th school in 6 years. He's spent time at some noteworthy schools, ladies and gentlemen. The starting quarterback is being paid $1,200,000 to quarterback this football team. He's going to turn 25 years old, the starting quarterback for UVA, during this season. The starting quarterback for UVA is 8 days younger than second-year starting quarterback Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders, the 2024 Offensive Rookie of the Year. 8 days younger, the starting quarterback of UVA, than Jaden Daniels, one of the superstars in the National Football League. Goodness gracious. And here's another little tidbit that I found crazy. Antonio Clary, who's going to be one of the key safeties on this Virginia football team, he first arrived in Charlottesville his first year in 2019. He played 5 games in 2019 before suffering a season-ending injury. Antonio Clary has played college football 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, 2020. I mean, good Lord. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's starting his 7th year of college football, Antonio Clary. 7th year of college football. He's already got an undergraduate degree. He's got master's degrees. I mean, what a wild time we live in when it comes to college athletics. Judah Wickower, studio camera and 2-shop. Headline that most intrigues you and why, Judah Wickower? Very, very curious of, I always like asking you that question. Very curious of where your mind goes to.
I'm curious about a new food court. I think that would be interesting. Like you said, they've got something going on over on Ivy, where Anderson Seafood sets up. I've seen a bread cart there, and obviously the Mexican food truck. That could definitely be an interesting place. I know there are a lot of people that go back and forth that road. But yeah, it'd be nice to, I think, consolidate some of the food trucks into one place.
Well,
as there are many of them spread out all over the place.
Deep Throat, I'll get to your comments. John Blair, thank you for watching the program. Georgia Gilmer, Gary Palmer, Michael Pruitt, Dr. John Shabe, Lonnie Murray, thank you for watching the show. Kevin Yancey, DJ Morbely, we got developers, we got politicians, we got bankers, Michael Guthrie, hello, brokers watching the program right now, attorneys watching the program, financiers watching the program. Phil Delaney owns the Virginia Oil, the late Phil Delaney. He's since passed away. The Phil Delaney estate owns that Virginia Oil piece of property across from the Boar's Head. Mm-hmm. That's where Anderson's Seafood Market pops up, where Tacos Gomez food truck is there. They have a couple of other vendors that rent space from the Delaney estate. If I was consulting for the Delaney estate or helping them optimize dirt that could generate revenue, I would do what the Cosner family has done with that empty parking lot across from Cosner Brothers at the base of Pantops Mountain. Mm-hmm. That empty parking lot at the base of Pantops Mountain can, at any given time, certainly around the weekends, have nearly a dozen food trucks there. Some of them setting up tables and chairs and shade for people to enjoy their food.
I'd love to see more of that.
I would love to see more of that. The reason I bring that up, I think we have a perfect position in that Virginia Oil, the late Phil Delaney parcel that's currently for sale. It's for sale across from the Boar's Head. And speaking of Phil Delaney, two interesting pieces of real estate news have materialized over the last couple weeks. A, the Aces, Dirty Aces Bar and Grill, rented or assumed the lease or took over the lease or have transitioned the Mooses by the Creek space. The late Phil Delaney estate, the owners of that real estate, there was chitter chatter that the uncertainty with the Phil Delaney family and that particular location in Hogwaller were one of the reasons that Moose and Amy chose to go to Boy Tavern and not continue Moose's by the Creek. Yeah. So, interesting tidbit, someone feels certain enough. Now, granted, this is a family or an entrepreneur that is in the tow trucking business, not necessarily in the food and beverage business, although they will be soon with Dirty Aces. But they felt certain enough with the lease to put thousands of dollars of their hard-earned money on the line to open Dirty Aces. Yeah. The second piece of real estate news tied to the late Phil Delaney estate is to the Phil Delaney estate. Is Tacos Gomez has clearly secured some kind of lease scenario or lease environment, some kind of leasing vehicle with their food truck on Ivy Road. It's routinely parked very close to where Anderson's Seafood Market is. So, and another piece of Phil Delaney, the late Phil Delaney real estate news, is I'm being told, and I can't confirm this, this is strictly rumor and scuttlebutt as of now, but Todd'sberry Pizza, that was under contract for an extended period of time, I'm being told that that study period with the Todd'sberry Pizza location may have brought up hurdles that the prospective buyer or leaser was not willing to clear. And that's why we've seen no movement on the Todd'sberry Pizza location in the heart of Ivy, which is a fantastic spot, but there's multiple issues with that Todd'sberry Pizza location, including environmental concerns with the creek and water right behind the building. So the late Phil Delaney, multiple parcels in the news over the last couple weeks alone, with Todd'sberry, the Virginia Oil, and Dirty Aces taking over in Hogwaller. A lot we're going to cover on the show. I want to give some props to Charlottesville Sanitary Supply, 61 years of business. John Vermillion and Andrew Vermillion, the owners of Charlottesville Sanitary Supply. The Vermillion family is 5 generations strong in Albemarle County, and Charlottesville Sanitary Supply is 3 generations of Vermillions running the company. East High Street and online at charlottesvillesanitarysupply.com. Love those guys. Saw them yesterday. Vermillion, fine men, honest men, communicative men. John Blair, I'm going to get to your comment in a matter of moments. I'm going to get to Deep Throat's comment in a matter of moments. Goodness gracious. We got some breaking news on Yunkin. Virginia judge bars Youngkin's university board appointments rejected by Senate Democrats. A judge has ordered that 8 university board members tapped by Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin should be removed from this post. This broke 46 minutes ago.
Wow.
Are you ready for this, viewers and listeners? This is significant news. I'm learning of this firsthand. Bob Yarborough, of the King of Redfields, of the Redfields neighborhood, sent me this. Bob Yarborough, I did not see this. It broke 46 minutes ago. This is, you can put a breaking news lower third on screen. If you can do that, it'll fly. A judge ordered that 8 public university board members tapped by Republican Governor Glenn Youngkin be removed from their posts in a victory for Virginia Senate Democrats who rejected the appointees in a June committee vote. Fairfax Circuit Court Judge Jonathan D. Frieden severed the newly appointed members from their governing board seats at the University of Virginia, George Mason University, and the Virginia Military Institute. His order came at the request of 9 Virginia Senate Democrats who filed a lawsuit last month requesting immediate action against the head of university boards, also known as rectors or presidents. 9 senators argued that despite the legislative committee rejecting the membership of the 8 board members, the board chairs had continued acknowledging them as members, and Frieden agreed. Here, the public interest is served by protecting the power of the elected legislator to confirm or reject governor appointees, Frieden wrote. An attorney representing the board rector said in court that if unsuccessful, he intended to appeal. This case comes amid the White House efforts to reshape higher education. I mean, this is fairly significant and should dominate the news cycle. We knew the case was ongoing, but it just broke prior to the show. We got an actual ruling here.
Is this a major precedent being set by the Democrats that could come back and haunt anyone in this position?
Great question. For it to haunt anyone in this position, though, they need to have control. Republicans would need to have control of the state Senate, as the Democrats do here. And I don't see that happening this election cycle. If anything, I see blue Democrats sweeping even more seats.
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
I'm not talking about this year. I'm just saying that I don't know if anyone has gone this hard before now in saying we're not gonna allow your appointees to take their posts.
Well, you know why that's the case. The case is because the federal government, whether you call it overreach, and I'm not saying you in general, I'm saying the viewers and listeners, whether the viewers and listeners say the Trump administration is overreach with what they're doing with diversity, equity, inclusion, and Jim Ryan at UVA, or whether it's within reach, within their boundary to do this, because they're allocating federal funds. Yeah. Have we ever seen an administration like Trump's actively get involved with state politics and state schools like we're seeing now?
Okay, but what does that have to do with governor's appointees?
I think it's the collateral damage, with some calling Youngkin Trump's lackey.
So this is revenge?
Revenge, or the collateral damage, the check to checkmate move.
Yeah, I mean, again, I go back to is this a massive precedent? The next time something like this happens, are the Republicans going to say, "Hey, you set the precedent. Now we're just going to block anyone you try to put in place"?
Right, but again, they have to have the political clout and influence and votes to do that.
Yeah, and someday down the road, they potentially will.
Historically, that has not been the case in the Commonwealth.
Okay,
a purple-blue state.
Okay,
a blue-purple state. But I get your point.
Yeah.
I think the more significant precedent would be Youngkin firing Bert Ellis, for malpractice and malfeasance. Yeah. If he could do that to one of his appointees, what's Spanberger going to do? And there's a rumor that's circulating around men and women of influence at the University of Virginia that Jim Ryan is lingering around grounds and in Charlottesville, because there's some talk that Spanberger may make a move to reappoint Jim Ryan to president.
But it's not like he was fired.
He resigned because of fear that federal funding would not be allocated to UVA if Jim Ryan stayed. So he's basically, and some would call it extorted out of office. Others would call it Jim Ryan was not following what the Department of Justice asked him to do. And this is tomato, glasses half full or half empty, depending on your politics. Some folks would say when the DOJ says jump, you say how high. Other folks would say the DOJ has no business telling the University of Virginia what it can or cannot do and should not be leveraging federal funding to have clout influence or extortion control over the university.
Yeah, but independent of all that, nothing would essentially change when Youngkin leaves and potentially Spanberger takes the post. They would still have the government, Trump's cabinet, DOJ after them.
Well, that's the point, Deep Throat. Comments are coming in quickly here. Put the Jim Ryan headline on screen. This is, and Jim, number one in the family, Deep Throat, makes this comment. Okay, I got comments coming in left and right here. Number one in the family, Deep Throat, makes this comment, which is a very good one. Then Vanessa Parkhill, we'll go to you. John Blair, we'll get you in the mix. Deep Throat says this: if Jim Ryan were reappointed, wouldn't the Trump administration then turn its guns on UVA yet again?
Yeah.
Seems like that issue has not been resolved. Here's another fun tidbit for you and Judah and the viewers and listeners. If you look at the Virginia statute on property tax exemptions, an institution loses it if it discriminates. It would be funny if CVille could start collecting the $20 million of property taxes that would be due on UVA properties if they were not exempt on the basis of a Civil Right Act action against the University of Virginia.
Wow.
Interesting tidbit.
Yeah.
The Virginia statute on property tax exemptions, an institution loses that exemption if it is found to discriminate.
But is UVA ever going to discriminate?
The DOJ is not just insinuating, they're saying that UVA is discriminating through DEI efforts. And then the DOJ is saying that UVA rebranded its DEI efforts in this shell game.
Right.
And this smoke and mirror game. And this is, again, in the eye of the beholder, what really is happening.
Yeah.
Vanessa Parkhill's got a great comment here, the Queen of Earlysville. Vanessa Parkhill's smart lady. She says, I think Jim Ryan, do you have the number? These are my words first before I get to Vanessa's comment. Do you have what Ryan is paid? Yeah. How long he's paid the presidential salary? Mm-hmm. Okay, so he's got 14 months of sabbatical, is that correct?
Yeah.
2 months of sabbatical time accrued for every year on the job.
Right.
So 14 months of sabbatical. What else we got?
Let's see. He's entitled to receive his presidential salary and benefits during his time on sabbatical.
So he's got 14 months of time off.
14 months, he could be paid $1 million
a year.
Yeah.
For 14 months. So that would be the $1 million a year plus a prorated version of the $1 million tied to 2 months extra. So he's paid well over $1 million in benefits and compensation for 14 months for doing doo-doo, for sitting on a beach, drinking a Mai Tai with an umbrella on it, umbrella in the drink, right? That's what he's doing. He could be chilling in his Earlysville house. Jim, are you a Mai Tai guy? Are you a bourbon on the rocks? Are you a rum and coke? Are you a Grey Goose on the rocks? Are you a gin guy? I mean, what is it? But he could be having a drink for 14 months and get well over $1 million in compensation for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Then he goes to the UVA Law School where he's a professor, working significantly less than he's working at UVA, significantly less stress as he was as president.
I'm sure.
And he's making $750,000 a year.
Yeah.
So there's the numbers and compensation for Ryan. Vanessa in Earlysville says, I think Jim Ryan is hanging around through his sabbatical while he continues to collect his presidential salary, as you reported on your show last week. That will allow the dust to settle and elections to happen. He has so many options. There was someone of clout and influence that told me yesterday that the talk around upper management circles is that Ryan is hanging around and waiting to see what happens with Spanberger, who is clearly a favorite to win the governor's race. 27 million collected in fundraising by Spanberger, right?
Let me see if there's an update on that.
11 million by Winsome Earl Sears. That was as of last week. Clearly, she's going to dominate here. And if you have a clean sweep, Spanberger, Lieutenant Governor, Attorney General, Democrat, clean sweep, and then other seats down the political totem pole, if they're flipped red to blue, what does that mean for the University of Virginia in Q1 of next year with this president's position? You look at what Youngkin has done with the Board of Visitors, and you look at Youngkin in his final year in office, and it's been a disaster. Glenn Youngkin's last year in office, and this is a guy that was on the short list to run for president. Youngkin was talked about as being the GOP candidate in this election, but Trump chose to run for a third time. He's on the short list for president. His final year in office has been disastrous. The Burt Ellis firing, not just the Burt Ellis firing, but the leak of content to smear Burt Ellis, with that leak of content to smear Burt Ellis being rumored and scuttlebutted to Glenn Youngkin and his administration. Then you have the smearing of John Reed, with that smearing being leaked to Youngkin's top. We got pictures.
And says, I don't care.
We got Youngkin's either mismanagement of appointments to the Board of Visitors. Ken Cuccinelli is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Could you pick someone? Let's try to pick someone that people will dislike even more than the guy that he's replacing.
Yeah. Well, this is what he's going to be remembered for.
Yeah.
Glenn Youngkin, ladies and gentlemen. It's not how you started, it's how you finished that you're remembered. What'd you find right there that you were looking up? Was it the fundraising numbers?
Yeah, nothing more recent than about a week ago.
Was it 27 and 11?
Yeah, 27 and 11.
John Blair, Jerry, Judah is correct. The BOV decision can certainly come back to haunt the Democrats and the Republicans. If you have a Democratic governor and an R House or R Senate, and the House or Senate doesn't like a BOV appointment, they can convene a committee and reject the appointment. That is the point he's made. I will ask you, John Blair, because you follow this closer than us. John Blair is as politically sophisticated and nuanced as anyone I know in the Commonwealth of Virginia. He knows this and I hope, John, on election day, you do that live Twitter or that live X Q&A like you've done in years past. It's been fantastic. John, can I ask you this question? When is the last time the House or the Senate and the Commonwealth have been Republican controlled? When is the last time the House or the Senate have been Republican controlled? And he has one more comment for us. 2 thoughts. You mentioned the Delaney property. I could see a food truck court at the old Howard Johnson on Afton. You'd get Crozet and Waynesboro residents there. Second, I don't think Jim Ryan will come back even if Spanberger wins because of the DOJ's involvement, which is what Deep Throat said. I don't think the DOJ would permit him to come back as president.
Yeah.
You agree with that?
I mean, it's definitely not Ryan's choice. And do we think that the current Board of Visitors would go for that? I don't see it happening.
Unless Spanberger completely revamps the BOV.
I mean, I suppose it could potentially happen, but I feel like that's a big stretch.
When Burt Ellis was on the I Love CVille show, he alluded, and perhaps that was foreshadowing, that if I can get fired by the governor that appointed me for malpractice, which is up to the interpretation of one person, what is Spanberger going to do when she didn't appoint any of the BOV?
Yeah.
And then he said, that's why I'm donating to Winsome Earl Sears. Comments coming in quickly. This is from Gail Esterman. She says, how do you know cheating is rampant at the Darden School? Well, we know cheating is rampant at the Darden School because there was an investigation into cheating at the Darden School. You can find some of this out. Was it on the Jefferson Council? And the investigation that was done at the Darden School found that cheating was so rampant, cheating tied to AI, ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, so rampant that the investigator said, we cannot whistleblow what's going on here with the cheating because it's so significant, it's going to diminish the value of a Darden degree and significantly impact the credibility of the Darden school.
Yeah. Jefferson Council said in May that cheating is so bad that they launched an investigation and the findings were withheld due to concerns about a scandal. So just Google Darden School cheating scandal, and you'll find everything from articles on darden.virginia.edu to the Jefferson Council, Reddit.
Vanessa Parkhill, if an institution wants to operate independently of the government, then it should not accept government funding.
Yeah.
Like Hillsdale College has done.
Right.
The University of Virginia would be turning its back on hundreds of millions of dollars, 300, 400 type of million of money. You're talking about turning its back on like 7, 8, 9% of the budget for UVA on a yearly basis. The yearly budget for UVA, I believe, is $5 billion to operate the University of Virginia, which is just an astronomical number to me. Gosh, this is the town that never sleeps from a content standpoint. I'll tell you what. It's great for what we do. Jerry, the last GOP House and Senate was in 2017 to 2019. The Democrats took control of both in 2019. In 2021, the R's won the House but lost it in 2023. All right, so I'll stand corrected. It does happen more than I gave initial credit for. Thank you, John. I appreciate that insight from John Blair, always providing quality insight. There was a time where the Board of Visitors appointment by the governor was never so
politicized?
Okay, that's a great word. Politicized?
Everything is politicized now. I mean, look, we couldn't even have a school board race without it being one of the most politicized happenings in Central Virginia.
Allison Spillman and Meg Bryce.
Yeah.
Bill McChesney, welcome to the broadcast. Philip Dow, Logan Wells, Clay Lowe, print newspapers, television stations, and radio stations watching the show as we speak. Bob Yarborough, I did receive that. Thank you kindly for sending us that breaking news. I think this will be very much in the news cycle. A Virginia judge bars Youngkin's University Board appointments rejected by Senate Democrats. Youngkin being castrated in his final year in office, politically castrated.
I mean, what is he really doing anyways? It's not like castrating him was any big feat, I think.
I disagree respectfully.
I mean,
for a man that was on a short list for presidential run,
it's never on my short list, but
he was on the short list of rainmakers and kingmakers.
Okay.
I mean, he was scuttlebutted to be the guy that the Republicans could consider for the third cycle that Trump pursued.
Okay.
A lot of comments coming in. The lead headline we need to get to, we've been hopping around today, and we appreciate the breaking news from Bob Yarborough that led us into the first 40 minutes of the program. Is that the zoning impact?
Yeah.
So I was asked this question yesterday, after yesterday's show. Does the zoning quicksand or the zoning purgatory, what's the impact it has as compared to a generational event like the pandemic? I've been thinking about that comment that's come in from someone of noteworthiness locally. And I mentioned,
does it seem like an apples and oranges equation to you?
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison like you're saying, but I think it's a conversation for a talk show, and that both are having significant negative impacts on Charlottesville, and both could be generational type in their uniqueness. The folks of Merritt have said this zoning debacle, if it's not solved, the $1 billion with a B impact on the local economy is light. Deep Throat has pushed back on the people that are in my ear saying, look, that assumes that there will be no zoning approval for years.
Yeah.
for years. And Deep Throat says, I'd like to hear more about how people come up with the $1 billion economic impact. Total square footage, commercial and residential, that was under review under the 2024 new zoning ordinance code at the time of the world judgment was 75,000 square feet. You cannot get to $1 billion of economic impact from 75,000 square feet. Not to mention that city will end up passing a code pretty soon that will fall somewhere between the old code and the new code. Of course, the city development dashboard could be totally wrong, but I am taking it as accurate. The follow-up I have for Deep Throat is this. If it's 75,000 square feet that was under review under the 2024 new zoning ordinance code, that's how much of that is actually dollars on paper with supply chain, with workers, with bankers, with inspectors, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, floor guys, brick masons, roofers, window guys, painters, janitorial, cleaning, landscapers, site work guy, underground work people, architects, engineers, attorneys, sound engineers, all these people that work in this 75,000 square feet. Can we get, could you do this, Deep Throat? Does someone, I asked Weldon, I said this could be something that's tied to Weldon Cooper. Okay? If this doesn't get determined for, like, say, a year, what's the impact there? He says the total cost of production for 75,000 square feet would be under $100 million for 75,000 square feet. Where is the disconnect that's happening with the people that are in our ear saying that this is a much higher number? Out of curiosity. I'm not saying I don't trust what he's saying. I trust him implicitly. I believe he's in Montana right now. I'm not saying that I don't trust the people that are in our ear that own the land and the dirt.
Plus, there's the article where, as you said, what was his name, Martin?
Matthews from the firm. Yeah, he's quoted. Thank you for bringing that up.
As saying
379 million.
Yeah.
He said his office alone, the new zoning ordinance debacle, his office alone has 379 million in projects on the line.
Yeah.
So Deep Throat, devil's advocate, sake of a talk show, we're getting the conversation going. Hall Spencer quotes Matthews from a local architect and planning firm that says his office alone has 379 million in development tied to zoning that's in purgatory right now.
Though I suppose it could be said that if that construction eventually goes ahead, that 300
I think that's the point he's making, Deep Throat, that eventually it could happen.
That money is not going to disappear. It's not like they got to scrap everything they've done and all that money is out the window. It's certain that they will lose money while waiting for something to happen. There will definitely be, I would imagine, subcontractors losing out on money because they've got to, sideline people for the time being or find other jobs to put them on where they can eventually be pulled back and put back on these jobs. Well,
and the climate can just change. The environment can just change. Keith Smith talks all the time about how he was developing the Lake Monticello neighborhood. A lot of people don't realize this, that Keith Smith was one of the prime developers, one of the premier or marquee developers of Lake Monticello. I think he said he developed more than 600 homes in Lake Monticello, including much of the Acres subdivision. And he said when he was doing development during the time of the housing crisis, the housing depression, that they lost $17 million of their money because the housing ecosystem changed, the housing market changed. That was mortgage-backed securities. The MBSs created a house of cards that eventually crumbled, and he got tied into that house of cards that crumbled and lost $17 million. And he's told the story, had to file for bankruptcy, his words on the show. That's an example of the market changing, being that finicky.
Yeah.
He thinks, Deep Throat says, that Mr. Matthews has a dog in the fight and that what he's saying is skewed for a shock tactic standpoint. Yeah. And maybe we fell bait, hook, line, and sinker on that shock tactic. Although, somewhere the truth is in the middle, I think.
It always is.
What are your thoughts, viewers and listeners? We just had one of our tenants slide rent under the door. And I got to remember to get the lease to the prospective new tenant as well. I promised her that this afternoon. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, owned by Conan Owen. He's a Darden graduate. A time when Darden wasn't rampant with cheating, when you had to earn the degree. Conan Owen was there. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, if you have a logo, they can do something with it. Sir Speedy of Central Virginia is locally owned and operated. Carly Wagner watching the program. She hasn't offered a comment in a while. One of the super smart people in this game we call real estate. She's a realtor and an engineer, Carly Wagner. She says, but the $379 million is likely the value of the to-be-built real estate, which may ultimately be realized when the zoning is finalized, whereas the lower number is the direct income loss during the period on pause. But how to quantify any delta in what the real estate value would be under the final zoning versus the lawsuit zoning is hard to quantify. Great comment by Carly Wagner.
Yeah.
How to quantify any delta into what the real estate value would be under the final zoning versus the lawsuit zoning is hard to quantify. That's why I think if I was the head of the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors, if I was the CEO of Charlottesville, is that Ann Burroughs? I should know that. Carr. Let me look that up. Who is the Charlottesville Area Association of Realtors CEO? I should know that. I'm disappointed in myself that I don't know that. Carly, can you give me that number, the CEO's name? 2025 Carr CEO. I should know that. Okay, I'm on the staff page here. I won't make this mistake again. Abby Tammin is the CEO. I apologize. Abby Tammin is the CEO. Ali DeGuardo is the Chief Operating Officer. Teresa Kirkhart is the Director of Professional and Business Development. Ian Dasutel is the Director of MLS and Technology Services. Tiffany Van, the Membership and Compliance Manager. Darkita Hawkins, the Receptionist. Neil Williamson is on the masthead of staff as the Public Affairs Director. Brent Woodyard, Director of Sales and Client Services at Hillsdale Conference Center, and Lauren Groff, the Conference Service Manager at Hillsdale, and Dave Norris, the Executive Director of the Carr Foundation, the nonprofit. If I was this C-suite team, and I think Neil Williamson, you need to lead the charge here in pushing this through. Neil watches the program routinely. If I was Neil Williamson and Abby Tammin, the CEO of Carr, I would try to figure out the impact, and I would do it in 6-month or yearly increments of this zoning debacle getting stuck in quicksand, and apply it with a dollars and cents number on the economic impact it has on Charlottesville and the surrounding counties.
Yeah.
Because I think what Mr. Matthews was trying to do with that $379 million was humanize the debacle.
And the delays.
Mm-hmm. He was trying to humanize, make it in real terms we understand. $379 million we understand.
Right. That's
what he was trying to do. Does he have a dog in the fight? Absolutely. I mean, he's getting paid on these $379 million in some capacity.
Yeah.
Okay. Does he have reason to inflate the number like Deep Throat is saying? I'm not going to say that. That's above my pay grade there. But Carr should lead some kind of analysis on the impact that this is going to have on the economy. They should tie it to white-collar jobs, blue-collar jobs, economic impact. And they should timestamp it in either 6-month or 1-year intervals. Just an idea.
Yeah.
I hope Carr watch this, do the work. Carly Wagner, pass that on. The realtor community, Barbara Bosick, watching the program, you should be leading the charge here on this. Other headlines we haven't covered today. Put the lower thirds on screen. What do you got, Judah?
Let's see. Restoring cat service on Sunday would cost $8 million.
All right, I want to get to that in a matter of moments. Carly Wagner's got some comments here. I had an investor client that was studying a purchase, a $2 million property, and wanted to convert into a micro hotel and backed out when the zoning ordinance was overturned. Look at that. She's a realtor and an engineer. She had a client, an investor, that was it under study period, Carly? Was studying a purchase, a property, a $2 million acquisition that they bagged once the zoning ordinance was overturned. There's just one example in the chat from a realtor locally that I trust. Logan Wells Claylow is another realtor locally that I trust that's watching the program. All right, Kat, does it boggle your mind, not boggle your mind, but $8 million to restore Sunday service for the Charlottesville area transit?
It is a lot.
What jumps out to you about that?
I mean, what jumps out at me is just the difficulty in helping out people. Like, obviously, there are people that need to ride the bus on Sunday. There are people that need to get to work. There are all kinds of jobs that stay open on the weekend, whether it's retail stores, and they need to have people working there, and if the buses aren't running, it would seem to me that there are a lot of businesses that might end up having to cut their hours.
No, I don't think that's the take.
You don't think that's the take?
You're saying that if the buses aren't running now,
apparently not.
It would be restoring Sunday Charlottesville area transit service,
which would probably help a lot of businesses.
You're saying that if we restart or restore Sunday public transportation service, that small business owners locally would be able to expand their hours on Sunday because their employees have a way to get to work?
Potentially. There's also just the fact that, do we just not care about people that need to use public transportation?
I care about. I don't want to sound like
I know,
is it callous. I don't want to sound
but
like I'm lacking empathy here.
Reducing it to the to.
Look, I'm a business person. I look at it like numbers. The Charlottesville City Council adopted a budget of $265 million for the 2025 fiscal year. $8 million to restore Sunday service is what? 3%? $265 million times 0.03. That's 8%. That's 3%. $8 million to restore Sunday service is 3% of the budget.
I'm curious how much.
3% of the budget to restore public transportation service for Sunday. 3%.
I know.
3%.
It's a lot.
I want any viewer and listener that's listening to this show, I want you to do this too, Judah. Next time you see a CAT bus drive by you when you're out and about, okay? When you're at Jack Brown's and you have a Goza or two, and you're eating a burger, some crinkle cut fries, and you're chatting up the girl next to you at Jack Brown's to try to get her phone number. And you leave Jack Brown's to head home to your palatial palace right on the city-county line. And you see a bus drive by, look in the bus and see how many people are actually in the CAT bus.
Yeah. I feel like this is akin to the adage, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. If we ignore services like the bus, then do we create the Charlottesville that is gentrified? Do we lean into that gentrification? I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just asking questions. Do we say it's not worth it because there aren't enough people on the buses? So let's just stop.
I don't have that answer for you. Conan Owen, you said $153,000 per day. I'd like to see the math on that. If you could offer more insight into the comment that you just posted on my comment section. Conan Owen, the owner of Sir Speedy of Central Virginia, locally owned and operated. He's a Darden grad. What's the $153,000 number you're mentioning? I'm going to do $8 million, okay? $8 million. Oh, he's doing it by 52, I bet you. Divided by 52 Sundays a year. That's the $153,000. Thank you, Conan. I get it now. 8 million divided by 52 Sundays. Great comment from Conan Owen. You make the show better, dude. 8 million divided by 52 Sundays a year is $153,846 per day. I'd like to see the math on that. How in God's name does it cost $153,846 to operate CAT for 52 Sundays per Sunday, 52 times a year?
Yeah, those are good questions.
Why? What is $153,846?
Yeah.
How is that being spent?
They mentioned having to hire a dozen new drivers, but obviously, paying a dozen drivers for a year is not going to cost $8 million.
Help me, viewer and listener, understand how $8 million to restore Sunday service.
How does that?
It's 153,846. Explain that to me. Somebody.
Yeah.
Deep Throat, watching the program, says for $153,000 per day, you could give $15,000 $10 Uber vouchers. That's crazy. He also says CAT is transit theater, not transit. Meandering routes at high headway are useful to no one. If you want to reduce private vehicle miles, CAT should be running 15-minute headway express buses up and down 29 and 250 and into downtown job centers. For the poorer people in town, just do subsidized Uber and paratransit, sort of like microcat. It's a good comment from Conan Owen and Deep Throat right there. Georgia Gilmer watching the program, her photo on screen. Most of the CAT buses have tinted windows, so it's hard to see in. They need to bring back the mini buses they had in the late 70s and early 80s. Bill McChesney says another check in the Youngkin's an idiot column is Youngkin or his AG pulled the trigger on the pro-Palestine pepper spraying protests.
Yeah, somebody was in charge of that. We know it wasn't. We know it wasn't Jim Ryan.
Jim Ryan fell on the sword for it.
Yeah, no doubt.
But you're right; it does not add up to Jim Ryan.
Yeah,
and the Jim Ryan we know.
There's no way he would have been the one to make that decision. And I, one of the reasons I have respect for Jim Ryan was that he.
Do you respect Jim Ryan?
I don't always like all the stuff that he was doing. I don't really agree with the DEI initiatives, but the fact that he easily could have come out at the end of the pepper spraying debacle and said, "Look, so and so told me to do this," and he just took it.
So you respect him for that?
Yeah. He had a job to do, and he did the job, and he didn't complain. He didn't point fingers. There's way too much of that going on in politics and everywhere else these days.
Fair enough. $8 million for Sunday service, $153,000 per day. That boggles my mind right there. See, that's beyond the headline right there. That's thanks to Conan Owen.
Yeah.
With a little color from Deep Throat.
Definitely.
The headline, is it from CVille? Where was the headline? CVille right now?
This is 29 News.
29 News, all they report is $8 million to restore Sunday service.
And a couple lines from Councilor Payne.
The story is, how does it cost $153,846 per Sunday to run the buses? That's the story.
Yeah. Yeah. And nobody's asking that on our sad. I mean, we do have some decent local news programs, but
this is why people watch the I Love CVille show and listen to our show.
Because for the most part, you get these, it's not even half a page. It's like you could have condensed this to.
It's like 3 sentences.
Yeah, it's a little more than that, but not far off.
That's why you watch the show. All right, it's 1:32, and we got to go make some money here. I'll close with the football piece. The starting quarterback of UVA football is going to turn 25 years old.
Do they have a new designation for if you're still playing on the university team and it's your 5th, 6th, 7th year? Like, what's after senior?
Grown-ass man. Grown-ass man is after senior. 25 years old, in this bowl season, Chandler Morris. He's 8 days younger than Jaden Daniels of the Washington Commanders, the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. Antonio Clary, who's going to get significant playing time at safety, if not start at safety for UVA football, is about to start his 7th season of college football. That makes this man 25, 26 years old. 7th season of college football for Antonio Clary, ladies and gentlemen. It is a wild time. The starting quarterback is earning $1,200,000 a year to quarterback this football team.
So is he staying? Is he playing a 7th year at the university because he's making as much as he could make potentially going to the NFL?
Great question. He has no shot of going to the NFL. So that's why he's staying 7 years in football. He's earning more degrees. He's already got an undergraduate degree and a master's degree. He'll get some other master's degree, if not pursue a PhD of some kind.
I can't fault him for that.
And I'm not faulting him. He's playing the game, literally and figuratively. He's getting paid to play football and get more degrees. He has no shot of getting paid to play football if it were not in college at UVA.
Why is that?
Because he's not good enough to make the NFL.
Okay.
He's not. In college football, there's, I don't know, hundreds of teams. In the NFL, there's 30-something.
Yeah.
There's just the odds of playing professional football are just very slim.
Yeah.
All right, I thought we did a pretty good job on a Tuesday. Judah Wickhauer has been really on point of late. When you see Judah Wickhauer out and about, give the man some props and ask for his autograph. He's a very kind-hearted person. If you need office space rented in Charlottesville, Albemarle, or Central Virginia, let us know. Our team at Charlottesville Business Brokers is doing great work, and we can absolutely help anybody with their commercial needs. We just got a tenant on a 2-office lease earlier this morning, and I'm seeing tenants dropping off rent at the first of the month in our rent box, Dropbox, as we speak. Thank you for watching the program. Judah Wickhauer, my name is Jerry Miller. So long.